Hi everybody, it's Calum. We're back again with another Armory deck showdown, and today we have Uhyoung with us.
Hi, and I'll be piloting the new Azalea Armory deck, which has a host of new cards, which I think you'll find very exciting.
And I'm going to be on my usual Boltyn deck. Because the Boltyn Armory deck has a lot of nice defensive tools, strong equipment, and some defense reactions, should hopefully be able to stop some of these big dominated attacks that are coming my way. I did a game against Carol on KO, so if you want to check out what's in the Boltyn Armory deck, you can watch that. There's a little deck tick in there.
And for today's game, I'll essentially be pumping out my arrows to huge, ridiculous numbers and then dominating them with powerful on hits so that I can really disrupt Calum's game plan and slow him down, deal a bunch of damage, and win. So if you guys are ready, I've got a little deck tech ready so that we can dive into what the Armory deck has to offer.
Hey guys, so who is Azalea? She's actually the first ranger hero to enter the game of Flesh and Blood. I'm here to go through quickly her weapons, her equipment, the deck, and the overall game plan. I'll firstly go through her weapons. Her primary weapon is the Death Dealer. It reads, once per turn action, pay 1 resource. If you have no cards in your arsenal, put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal. If you do, draw a card and go again. So how this works is, I activate Death Dealer. For example here, I will pitch 2. I'll put an arrow from my hand into my arsenal, and this effect allows me to draw a card. Very powerful. Not only am I getting an arrow into my arsenal, I am also drawing a card for free. Now here, you might be wondering, why do I need to load arrows into my arsenal? In the game of Flesh and Blood, arrows are attacks, but they have 2 specific conditions. Firstly, you must have a bow to be able to fire them. And secondly, arrows can only be played out from your arsenal. So for example, if I had an arrow in my hand, like the Sleep Dart, I cannot simply attack with Sleep Dart. That would be like throwing my arrow with my bare hands. Instead, in this game, arrows must come from your arsenal, and once they're in here, they can be fired out, like so, paying its appropriate resource cost. Now let's talk about Azalea's hero ability. It reads, once per turn action, 0 cost. Put a card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck. If you do, put the top card of your deck face up into your arsenal. If it's an arrow, it gets Dominate. So this is a very powerful ability and very core to Azalea's game plan. How this works out in turn is, I activate Azalea, I'll put the card in my arsenal on the bottom of my deck, and then I'll put top card into my arsenal like this. And if it's an arrow, which it is, it gets Dominate for the turn. And Dominate simply reads, it can't be defended by more than 1 card from your opponent's hand. So this is a way to really sneakily get past your opponent's defenses and make sure your arrows hit. Now let's have a look at Azalea's next key piece of equipment, Crow's Nest. This reads, whenever an arrow is put face up into your arsenal from your deck, you may pay 1. If you do, put an aim counter on it. So what is an aim counter? Aim counters don't do anything by themselves, but there are other cards that sort of want to see aim counters on your arrows. So for example, Sedation Shot reads, if this has an aim counter, it gets +1. So here, the arrow will now swing for 6 instead of just 5. So essentially, aim counters give buffs to certain arrows in your deck, and your equipment love to see some aim counters. Let's have a look at the headpiece, Target Totalizer. It reads, action, destroy this. Whenever an arrow with an aim counter hits this turn, draw a card. So if I were to hit with the Sedation Shot that has an aim counter on it, I would draw a card, which is great. It's also important to note that this hit piece is not limited to once per turn. So as long as you can hit your opponent with an arrow that has an aim counter, you will draw a card. Now you may be wondering, how do we hit our opponents with more than 1 arrow with an aim counter on it? Because Death Dealer can only be used once per turn, right? That's when the new arm piece comes in. Sharpshooters. This reads, action, destroy this. Put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal with an aim counter. Now this combos very well with the new legs equipment, Flight Path, which reads, attack, reaction, destroy this, target arrow attack with an aim counter gets go again. So as you can see, these 3 pieces of equipment combo very nicely with arrows that have aim counters. And finally, let's have a look at her new chess piece, Hidden Agenda, which says instant, turn a face down arrow in your arsenal face up, gain 1 resource, and at the beginning of the end phase, destroy this. It's also important to note that this has Arcane Barrier 1, which is just a nice little bonus. Now this ability to turn a face down card in your arsenal face up is important as it synergizes with certain cards in your deck that we'll see later on. Not to mention that free resource is great. What's really cool about these equipment is that on certain turns, they'll really help smooth out your turns when things aren't going your way. Or if the game is going your way, you could even use all your equipment in one turn to deliver a devastating turn. So now let's have a look at the 60 card deck to see what we're actually playing with. The deck is actually split roughly in half of them being arrows that can deliver attacks to your opponents, and half of them being action cards that increase the damage of your arrows. So you essentially on each of your turns want to play as many action cards that increase the damage of your arrows and then fire 1 devastating arrow at your opponent. So let's break down a few key examples of actions in your deck. These are 3 key examples. They all give the next arrow attack that you play plus 3 damage, but they all do something a little different in the deck. Read the Glide Path allows you to opt one, which is where you get to look at the top card of your deck and decide to put it on top or the bottom. This is a great way to set up powerful combos with Azalea's hero ability, which allows you to put the top card of your deck into your arsenal and give it dominate. So this way, you can start digging for arrows and making sure that the top card of your deck is an arrow. Secondly, there are pumps like Lace of Frailty, which give damage and also give your arrow a powerful on-hit. This one creates a frailty token under your opponent's control if the arrow hits. So, if you manage to hit with an arrow that is laced with frailty, your opponent's turn essentially becomes weaker. And it's important to note that a lot of Azalea's defenses come from her offense. Even though she is not the best at blocking in comparison to someone like a Guardian, Azalea can deliver powerful on-hits that slow their opponents down. And finally, Line It Up, which is actually new in the set. It reads, your next arrow attack gets +3, and you may turn a face-down arrow in your arsenal face-up. If you do, put an aim counter on it. So this is another way to give aim counters to your arrows to have synergies with your equipment and other cards in deck. Now let's have a look at a few of the arrows in the deck. For example, the most basic, Infecting Shot. This simply reads, if it has an aim counter, it gets +1 damage. So if we can get aim counters on it, we're simply dealing more damage. And the ability is, when this hits a hero, create a Bloodrot Pox token under their control. And a Bloodrot Pox token reads, at the beginning of your end phase, destroy this, then deal 2 damage to you unless you pay 3. So if your opponent is infected with Bloodrot Pox, they'll take 2 damage unless they keep a card in their hand and pitch 3 at the end of it. So Infecting Shot is a great way to sneak more damage in. The next card is Red in the Ledger. When this hits a hero, they can't play or activate more than 1 action card during their next turn. This is one of the most powerful arrows that Azalea has in her toolkit. If this hits, your opponent's turn is going to be terrible. If we hit with this, we know that we'll be pretty safe on the next turn. And finally, let's have a look at Stone Rain, which is another new card from the set. It reads, if this has an aim counter, it gets Dominate, and when this hits a hero, they banish face down a card from their hand. At the beginning of the next end phase, they return it to their hand. So this is another way to sort of disrupt your opponent so that they can't do the things that they want to. There's no point delivering a very powerful arrow if your opponent can simply block it out with their full hand. However, if you can give it Dominate, you'll be able to get past their defenses to deliver those on-hits so they're left with cards in their hands that they can't even utilize properly. You can take a lot of gambles with Azalea. Sometimes you simply don't know what is on top of your deck when you use her hero ability. Sometimes it's worth the risk, and sometimes it's simply not. Plan accordingly. Know what you can do if the card on top is a card that you want, or if it's a card that you don't want. Always be prepared. Finally, be careful with what card you arsenal. Arrows can only be played from the arsenal, and your bow can only load 1 arrow per turn. Well, with that done, let's check out a game with this new Azalea deck.
Alright, it is time. There we go. And would you like to roll some dice?
All right, sounds good. I roll.
And 7.
7, nice. All right.
Yep.
I want to win.
Oh,
10,
yeah.
all right. Sweet. So I will go first.
Sounds good.
Let's draw up and have a good game.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to play this game because of all this new equipment that Azalea has. And I can also see brand new sets of equipment over there as well. Hopefully they come into play powerfully in this game. And this is an interesting turn 1. First off, I will activate Death Dealer, pitching 2 here. And this is a once per turn action. And if I have no cards in my arsenal, I can put an arrow from my hand face up into my arsenal. And if I do, I get to draw a card. So I will pay 1 to activate Death Dealer. I will load Spire Sniping, which allows me to draw a card. Cool. And then Spire Sniping's ability triggers, which says when this is put or turned face up in Arsenal, look at the top 2 cards of my deck and put them back in any order. So I will have a look at the top 2 cards. And interesting. So I am looking at the 2 cards of Spire Sniping, and the reason I really wanted an arrow here is because Azalea's ability reads once per turn action, put a card from my arsenal on the bottom of my deck, and if I do, I get to put the top card into my arsenal, and if it's an arrow, it gets Dominate. And that's very good because in turn 1, I want to sort of dominate an arrow so he can't block, leak some damage, leak an on-hit, and try sort of get an advantage from the get-go. But unfortunately, I do not see an arrow with Spire Sniping, which lets me stack the top 2 cards of my deck. So I will simply do this, put this back in this order, And now I do have an option to fire my arrow, but I think I don't want to, because that will let Calum sort of get rid of cards he doesn't want from his hand. Even though I don't like this too much, I will simply pass my turn.
Okay, well, yeah, we wouldn't have hated Uhyoung attacking because it would have been nice to block with some cards and kind of sculpt our hand a bit, but this is alright. We do have a decent turn 1. Part of what I'm trying to do versus Uhyoung is get a defense reaction into my arsenal, because one of the best ways to get around Dominate is to be able to play a defense reaction from arsenal, because Dominate obviously only allows you to block with one card from hand, but you can still play your defense reactions from other places such as the arsenal. Pitch a Courageous Steel hand to play a Take Flight and charge a card into Boltyn's Soul as an additional cost to play it, and then because I have charged a card, Take Flight gets Go Again, and Sir Boltyn's hero ability is active, which says that if I've charged this turn, my attacks get +1 while defended by an attack action card.
I simply want to take the damage because I think my cards are way better on the offense than they are on the defense, because Ranger is sort of notorious for their low defense values, and this already has Go Again, so I will simply declare no blocks.
Take 4 damage.
Take 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And because this has Go Again, I then get to attack with Raiden. Now, Raiden is Boltyn's signature weapon. It costs 0 to attack with, and if you've charged this turn, it gets +3 attack. It does have 0 base attack. The fact that it gains 3 attack kind of allows Boltyn's hero ability, his other hero ability, to be turned on, which says, as an attack reaction, I can banish a card from my soul, and then target attack with power greater than its base gets Go Again. That's kind of the whole thing with Boltyn, is you want to use these cards in your soul to give your attacks Go Again, make these super wide combat chains, and really just pummel your opponent. The thing about Raiden is you really want to be utilizing it as often as you can because it is free. We're going to come in for 3 for free.
Cool. 3 for free. Wow. So efficient. Alright. So again, I'm just going to take the damage because my defense comes from my offense of landing powerful on hits. So I will simply say no blocks.
Alright, I will not use any abilities. I go to my
damage.
end step and put a card into my arsenal.
Cool.
Pass the turn back.
So now he has 1 soul. So just got to keep track of that, because the more soul he gets, the more explosive turns he can have. This is my turn to try shut him down with some on hits. So I have this Spire Sniping in my arsenal at the moment, and that is not a very good arrow to fire, and I want to load a different arrow to draw off Death Dealer. I am going to simply use Azalea's ability, Blind, when I don't know the top card of my deck. So this allows me to put my arsenal on the bottom of my deck, and I put the top card of my deck face up into my arsenal, and it is a pump.
Nice.
So that is what I want to see. So I will play Lace with Bloodrot, which says my next arrow attack gets +3, and when it hits a hero, create a Bloodrot Pox token, which is one of these. So if this hits, I give him this aura, which says at the beginning of your end phase, so Calum's end phase, destroy this, and it deals 2 damage to him unless he pays 3. It's a little way to get more damage through.
And notably, the Boltyn deck does not run any blues, so it is pretty difficult for me to pay for.
That is a very good on hit. And then I will activate Death Dealer again. This says pay 1, load a card, an arrow, face up into my arsenal. This allows me to draw, and this is a powerful Sleep Dart, which says when this hits a hero, they lose all hero card abilities until the end of their next turn, which essentially means all the text on his hero card is just blank.
Yeah, that's pretty bad for me because Boltyn really does rely a lot on his hero abilities. We really don't want to be put to sleep here.
So my attack is only going to get better from here. So I've laced with Bloodrot. I'm now also going to lace with Frailty, which on hit would give him a Frailty counter, which gives all the cards from his arsenal and weapon attacks -1 for the turn. So, very powerful ability. And then I'm also going to Point the Tip, which says target face-up arrow in my arsenal. So this target arrow gets +3 until the end of turn. And I get to put an aim counter on it, which is a mechanic that will become relevant very, very soon. And I will also, I believe, line it up.
Whoa.
So this says your next arrow attack this turn gets +3. The next bit of text doesn't matter, but it says you may turn a face down arrow in your arsenal face up, and if I do, I put an aim counter on it, but it's already face up, so I don't get to put any more aim counters on it.
Not that that would do much.
Yes. And then I am going all in very early. I am going to activate my brand new headpiece, Target Totalizer. This says destroy this whenever an arrow with an aim counter, so this sleep dart here, hits this turn, draw a card. So now, not only is this a powerful arrow that's coming in, it will also draw me a card if it hits. And the idea is to try bait Calum into using all of his equipment early, because this is a powerful arrow. So this is +3, +3, +3, +3, 17.
17.
If I have done my math correctly.
17 damage.
Yes. And on hit, frailty, and blood rot pots.
Oof.
What would you
And I go
like
to sleep.
Yes.
That is pretty nasty.
And draw a card on hit. Thanks
And you
to
will draw a
these
card.
things.
This is
Yes.
true. My gosh. We have some decisions to make here, because these are some very, powerful on hits that we don't really want to take, but also our hand blocks for, let's say 12. Even say if I was to block with all of that and a defense reaction, we might only be able to block 16. That's still not going to fully block this attack. However, my hand does kind of fight through the sleep dart a little bit, because I've got some natural go again. I would be taking so much damage in order to do it, and I don't think that the turn that I would fire back would be quite as effective. So I think the thing that I'm going to do is just use my entire hand to block. That's 12 defense there. So I'm going to defend with my whole hand.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go to my reaction step.
Sure thing.
And then I'm going to use this defense reaction, which I put in my arsenal on the first turn. Sink below, it says that I can put a card from my hand on the bottom of my deck, and if I do, I get to draw a card. Now, I have no more cards in my hand, so I don't get to use its effect. However, this does block for 16. So we will still be taking a point of damage here. The on hits, such as frailty, such as sleep dart, aren't necessarily as effective if all we're going to do is just pass the turn back. I will still take blood rot damage, but I think rather than putting a piece of an equipment in here and say blocking for 18, I want to save my equipment, because as we said, the dominate on hits can be very important to be able to block. So I'm just going to take 1.
Alright, so on hit, I give you a blood rot.
I go to sleep.
You go to sleep. And here is also a lace with frailty.
Okay.
And then also target totalizer.
Yes,
Lets me draw a
that's
card. because
true.
this card
That's
has an
true.
encounter.
You get to draw a
card.
card into your arsenal.
And then I will put it in my arsenal, and then I will pass my turn.
And of course, Azalea utilizes cards in arsenal, better than most heroes, because of her hero ability. She can always ship them away, even if they're not the most amazing. All right, so
Your turn.
I'm gonna go.
Would you like
to
to
my
swing
end
your...
step.
I sure don't want to swing your
I
weapon
could
for
swing
negative
my
1.
weapon for -1, but no,
I believe that heals me,
I'm
doesn't
just
it?
gonna have a nice sleep.
Okay.
And then when I wake up, I'm gonna discover that I'm diseased and take 2 points of damage.
Yes.
And
Boltyn's been working
it's
hard.
It is time to go back to work.
Alright, my turn again. So we only got a little bit of damage to it, but that's okay because we stripped his hand.
Stripped my hand.
And he also has no arsenal. Unfortunately, we didn't get any equipment, but we will try again. To start things off, we will read the glide path, which says my next arrow gets +3, so it's just another array of pumps I have in my deck. But this allows me to opt 1. I get to look at the top card of my deck, and I get to decide whether this goes on the bottom or the top. And I'm going to say, we don't need this. This goes to the bottom.
Okay.
And these opt abilities in the Azalea deck are so good because it lets me sort of stack the top of my deck for her ability and see what I'm going to be drawing with Death Dealer. So the next thing I am going to do is pitch Spire Sniping to activate Death Dealer. So I have 1 left. To load an arrow, I load Stone Rain. So Death Dealer triggers. Allows me to draw a card. Interesting. So here I am with a quick public service announcement. Be very careful with the card Point the Tip, because unlike all the other pumps in Azalea's deck, which simply say the next arrow gets +3, Point the Tip says target arrow gets +3. This means this arrow that you are pumping must already be in your arsenal. If there is no arrow in your arsenal, you cannot play that card because there is no arrow to target. And the second warning with that card is, if you ever blind Azalea, a card off the top of your deck, and put into your arsenal, and it happens to be Point the Tip, you will no longer have an arsenal slot to put an arrow in for that card to target. So for that turn, you will not be able to do anything. I am going to, as they call it, full send. So I'm going to play Point the Tip. Again, +3 on my next arrow, and I get to put an aim counter on this arrow. And I'm going to lace with Blood Rot again.
Oh no.
I'm going to fire Stone Rain. So Stone Rain is a new card from the Azalea Armory deck, and this reads, if this has an aim counter, it gets Dominate. It has an aim counter, so it has Dominate. And when this hits a hero, they banish face down a card from their hand. And then at the beginning of their next end phase, they return it to their hand. So essentially it sort of gets rid of a card so that he can't use it on his turn, and will be sort of forced to arsenal with it. And this is coming in for 4, 7, 10, 13 damage.
13 Dominate. Good
Yes.
lord. And a Blood Rot Pox.
Yes.
Once again, I could sort of use some equipment here, but the problem is, even if I was to throw all of my equipment and block with a card from hand, I'm still not coming close to stopping all of this damage. This Stone Rain effect, while slightly annoying, isn't actually going to mess me up that bad, so I'm going to just have to take some damage here. I will defend for 3 and take 10. And then on hit, I will get Diseased again, Blood Rot Pox, and I will banish a card face down from my hand, not to be used until my end phase.
Right. I'll take some damage. Have a
Yep.
card in hand, so I will Arsenal and pass my turn.
Okay.
Nice. We got some damage through. Got some on hits through. He's disrupted. Let's see how this goes.
Everything is going to plan for Azalea, but we are able to fire back a little bit here. So I'm going to attack with a Beaming Bravado, charging a card to my soul, and because it's a yellow card, Beaming Bravado gets +1.
Ooh.
That,
Okay,
of
okay.
course, is going to turn on Boltyn's hero ability.
Okay, so that is currently coming in for 3. As mentioned before, I usually don't want to block, but if you get a hand like this, no pumps and all arrows, I can't utilize this full hand, so definitely should be blocking here. I'm going to give you 1 card.
Okay.
Here's a block for 3.
Well, now because Boltyn's hero ability is active, and you're defending with an attack action card, I get +1. So it now goes to 4 attack. Because it's got attack greater than its base, I get to, in reaction step, banish a card from my soul to give that attack go again, which I will do, and you will leak 1 point of damage.
Gah, take 1.
And then I'm going to come in with Raiden, 3 for free.
What? So much value. Alright. Unfortunately, the hand is not very good, so again, I'm just going to block out here. Save some life, wait for a better turn.
Okay.
So block 3 here.
Block 3, well, that's going to now push it to 4.
Yep, so I will take 1 damage.
Take another point of damage. Alright, and then a couple of things happen in my end phase. I get my card back, and also the Blood Rot Pox token is going to trigger and deal me 2 more damage. And that's going to mean I can put this card in my arsenal and pass the turn back to you.
Alright, sounds good. I may be in the position to do a ye old Blind Azalea. I'm going to activate Azalea's ability again, not knowing what the card is, and try gamble for a much better card. So, top card, face up into my arsenal. Yes!
Oh, it's
Alright, Lace for Frailty, that's what we want.
Alright.
Those who gamble always get rewarded. Always Blind Azalea.
Yes.
This is a +3, and when my next arrow hits, I give you a Frailty token. And then I'm going to activate Death Dealer,
Right.
pitch 3, using 1, to load an Infecting Shot.
Ooh.
Death Dealer allows me to draw a card. Ooh. Very interesting. So this is a spot where I got to decide whether I use this now or save it for later. And the reason I think I want to save this for later is because if I can have a 5-card hand and dominate, that's how I sort of get ahead. Even if I pump this now, Calum might be able to just very efficiently block it, and that is something that we don't want, because if I keep firing arrows with no dominate and he keeps blocking them, I may just run out of arrows to sort of kill him with. So I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm simply going to fire for 8 Infecting Shot. There will be a Frailty and a Blood Rot on hit.
Alright. Well, my hand is not looking like something that I can really push a lot of damage with currently, so I think what we are going to do is fix that by first of all saying no blocks.
Wow,
Going
alright.
to reaction step and then playing a Sink Below from hand, and I'm going to ship a card to the bottom and draw a new one. See, is that any good?
Hope you brick.
It's not bad, it's not bad.
Alright.
Then we are going to Sink Below another card,
Oh my god. Alright.
and that's going to fully block the attack and drop. Oh, that's perfect.
Oh no. Okay. Don't want to hear that. All right. Full block. I will close the chain.
Okay.
And I'll move to Arsenal.
All right. Now, we've seen the power of Sink Below because this is going to be a good turn for me
Oh no.
to pop my solar plexus, which allows me to banish a card from my soul. This means yellow cards cost me 1 less to play this turn. So I'm going to utilize that to get a V of the Vanguard for free, which is going to charge a light card, in this case a Banneret of Vigor, which also has an effect when it gets charged. It says the next time I hit this turn, I gain a resource. So that's going to be on the entire combat chain. V of the Vanguard's effect, of course, the Boltyn specialization, very powerful card. It says my attacks this combat chain get +1 for each light card that I charge. I can, of course, charge multiple cards, but in this instance, I'm going to just charge 1. So this is going to get +1 from its ability, going to 4.
Alright, and if I block with an action card, it'll get another +1. And my block values aren't that good to begin with. And looking at this hand, this might be good enough to swing back with. So this is going to hurt, but I'll say no blocks.
Alright, I'll go to reactions.
Yep.
And I will use Boltyn's hero ability to give it go again, and you take 4 damage, sir.
Cool. Take 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And now, because I have activated the Solar Plexus, this Battlefield Blitz is also free.
Oh no.
This card has natural go again because I have charged this turn, and it is coming in for 5.
Okay, that's a lot of damage. Alright, I will have to keep with my plan and say no blocks.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then I get to activate Raiden, and because of V of the Vanguard, it is 4 for free.
4 for free. No blocks.
Alright.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Alright. So, we're going to pass the turn. We have used up all of our soul, but I think it was worth it because we got a lot of damage in that turn.
So, as an Azalea player, when your opponent doesn't have an arsenal, that's always good to see because that means they cannot play a defense reaction from Arsenal. And that means your dominates are going to get through this turn. I'm going to play Scout the Periphery, which lets me look at the top card of any hero's deck. So I can look at Calum's deck, but I'd much rather look at mine. Oh, okay. Lace.
Oh,
I mean,
tell me what it is.
I mean, you don't know. Lace.
Could be any of the laces.
Card up on the top of my deck.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's pitch this. I'm going to pitch Stone Rain to activate Death Dealer, which allows me to load Boltyn Shot.
Ooh.
Death Dealer, draw a card. Now, I knew I was going to draw this card because I scouted, so I wanted to get it out of the way so that I can have a look at the next card to see if I can dominate it. So Scout, look at the top card of my deck, please. Not quite what I want. I want an arrow there so I can dominate it. Now I've got to figure out how much damage is worth pushing here without dominate. I want to make his turn a little bit annoying, so I will Lace with Inertia. So Lace with Inertia is like the other laces, gives +3 to my next arrow, but this one will create a Inertia. Will at the end of his turn, destroy this, put all cards from Calum's hand and arsenal on the bottom of his deck. So essentially it will stop him from setting up a huge turn. I think that may just be good enough. So I will fire my Boltyn Shot for 4, 7, 10, 13 damage.
Oof.
Now, it is a big number, but it is not quite what I want because it is not dominated. Boltyn Shot does have go again because it has all these attack buffs, and when it hits, I will load a card from my hand face down into my arsenal.
Okay, so next turn I want to play my Snatch. Usually there's a really threatening on hit because if I get to draw a card with it, if Uhyoung decides to take the damage, then I'll be able to arsenal that card for a later turn. However, if I take this damage, I'm going to get an Inertia token, which says that any cards in my hand or arsenal at the end of my turn get shipped to the bottom of my deck. That means that the Snatch is not going to be as threatening. He might just elect to take the damage, let me draw the card, which will then go away. However, I do have my boots, and if I defend with those and charge a yellow card, then I get an all-important Quicken token. This is going to give the Snatch go again, and now if he lets it hit, then I can draw another attack and get to attack with that as well. If we remember, we have equipment. So what we can do is block with these cards. We defend with 8, and then I will activate the ability of Warpath of Winged Grace to put a card into my soul, which is quite good because I didn't have any cards in there anyway, and that's going to create a Quicken token, which is going to make this Snatch a lot more threatening. So that's 8 on 13. I'm going to take 5 points of damage, get an Inertia, and you get Bolt and Shots ability.
Yes, I will reload a card into my arsenal.
Okay.
And I will also give you
Give me my inertia.
inertia from Lace. I will close the chain.
Yep.
No reason to play this out. We save this for next turn.
Okay.
And then we'll pass the turn.
All right. Right here is the Snatch with Go Again. Snatch, of course, an iconic fab card. It draws a card on hit, and it presents a nice little breakpoint.
Alright, so what's important here is that Calum has not charged this turn. So Sir Boltyn's ability to get +1 if I block with an attack action card is not online, so I can give him a 3 block and a piece of equipment. We don't want him getting this free card. So we will block for 3, and I will give you Flight Path, which is one of the new Ranger equipment in this Armory deck. And what's so exciting, this may not seem that exciting to new players, but for an experienced Ranger players out there, you'll notice that this Ranger piece of equipment has Battle Worn, which means we can block and we keep the equipment. It doesn't get destroyed for blocking, which is wild for Ranger. So I'm going to block 4 and not be punished.
All right. Okay,
All right.
that is the end of the turn. Inertia goes away,
Wow.
and yeah, we have to pass back.
Battle Worn and Ranger. What a time to be alive. We're going to play from Arsenal, Lace with Blood Rod.
Whoop.
We are a little tight on resources here, but we will persevere. We will pitch 1,
Okay.
activate Death Dealer to load Sleep Dart.
Ooh, not
Arsenal.
the sleep dart.
Death Dealer lets me draw a card. Ooh, okay. Next card I'll play is Scout, the Referee. Again, looking at the top of my deck to see if there's anything interesting dominating. Ooh, yeah, alright, let's go. We're gonna pop Azalea's ability.
Okay.
My arsenal on the bottom of my deck. Put the top card into my arsenal face up.
Ooh, it's an infecting shot.
Yes. Now, Azalea's ability has given this arrow Dominate, so I will pitch 1 more and fire out the infecting shot.
Oh, yeah.
So this is 5, 8, 11 with Dominate.
Dominate. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
I am
We
competent.
have indicated that this is coming in.
Yeah.
Uhyoung has just spun away his sleep dart to the bottom of his deck and now is presenting an infecting shot instead. This is good for me and bad for me. It's good because the sleep dart on hit is very detrimental. It kind of stops me from doing what I want to do on my turn, right? If you turn off Boltyn's hero abilities, then he can't give attacks Go Again, and my turn's just kind of gonna not be very effective. However, the infecting shot is presenting a lot of damage. Double blood rot pox on hit. It's a big chunk of my life total. However, I think that I need to take the damage in order to present a threatening turn back and try and strip some cards from Uhyoung's hand, make the turn a bit more powerful. Infecting shot's just damage, so you know what? This is double blood rot. It's gonna take
Double Blood
a
Rot.
lot.
It's 4 extra damage on hit.
That's basically 15 damage. That's almost my whole life, but I'm just going to block with 1 card here.
Wow.
I only can defend with 1 card because of the Dominate, but I'm not going to give you any pieces of equipment. I'm going to then take 8. There we go.
Nice. So, here you are.
Now
I have
I
a
get-
present for you.
2 blood rots.
Yes.
Double disease.
Wow. You are
Okay.
a very diseased
Diseased
man.
young man. So, we're going to get to have a turn here, and I'm going to attack with a Beaming Bravado, and I'm going to charge a Banneret of Vigor. And the Banneret of Vigor says that when it's charged to my Hero Soul, the next time I hit this turn, I gain a resource. So, I will attack, and this is coming in for 4. Boltyn's hero ability active.
This hand is almost good enough to swing back. There is a little bit of risk here because there is a little bit too many arrows. Again, my slogan, I don't defend well, I'm better off attacking. So I'm going to declare no blocks.
Excellent. So I'm going to, in reaction step, use Boltyn's hero ability to banish a card from my soul, give Beaming Bravado Go Again, and then the on hit of Banneret of Vigor means that I get a resource, and you take 4 damage. Luckily, Uhyoung is as predictable as he is handsome, because had he blocked that, he might have been able to shut our turn down, but
Oh, wow.
because he has given us this all-important resource, we will be coming in with a Valiant Thrust.
I see.
Coming in, because I've charged this turn, Valiant Thrust gets +3, and it's
Yep.
6 damage.
So he gave me a compliment, but then he also insulted me in the same sentence. And now I feel like I should block. Alright, I think we got to take a little bit of risk when playing this game. I think I will block with my arm piece though.
Okay,
So
good,
that I
cool.
get maximum value out of it. And again, another ranger piece with Battle Worn, so it will not die.
Yep. Alright, well, I'll go to the reaction step, use
Yeah.
Boltyn's hero ability again. To give Valiant Thrust go again, you take 5 damage.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then we come in with Raiden, 3 for free.
3 for free. But you do have 2 Bloodrot Pox tokens, so you will go down to 8. Alright, no blocks. I'm committed.
Alright, take the damage.
1, 2, 3.
Then it's never fun, but it's time to pay the piper, and those Bloodrot Pox tokens will deal me 4 damage.
Lovely.
Which is taking me to a dangerously low 8, and I don't have any soul, but we'll see. We might be able to make something happen here.
A surprising amount of lines.
So here, I'm faced with a very, very difficult decision. I am taking a lot of gambles on this turn, and I'm trying to figure out where I can mitigate that risk. And cards like Read the Glide Path, which lets me opt the top card of my deck, is so powerful in helping me manage my risk. For example, in this scenario, if I opt before I Death Dealer, I get to have a better chance at drawing the card I want. But if I Death Dealer first and then I opt afterwards, I get a better chance of dominating the arrow off the top using Azalea's ability. So again, these turns are all about risk management and knowing what can happen if things don't go your way.
So what I'm going to do is, first, I'm going to activate the new arm piece from the set, Sharpshooters. Action. It says, destroy this, put an arrow from my hand face up into my arsenal with an aim counter. So I'm going to start off by loading this drill shot. So this is destroyed. This now has an aim counter. And the cool thing about drill shot is, if it has an aim counter, it has piercing 1, which means if he blocks with a piece of equipment, it'll get +1. And when this arrow hits, I get to put a -1 counter on one of his equipment. So essentially, this is the juicy setup to try get a good dominate arrow through. Here is drill shot for 4. Now, this does not have go again. What a fool I am to fire an arrow. Oh no, 3 cards in hand. What a misplay.
You silly man.
I am an absolute fool.
You've ruined everything.
Just take it. Like, there's only 4 damage.
Now,
I have no go again.
once Uhyoung's finished his tirade, I'm going to have a think about what to block with here, because there is obviously an on-hit with drill shot, which means that he would get to put a -1 counter on a piece of equipment, which I don't want to happen. The problem is, if I block with a piece of equipment, it's going to get +1. However, that would only still take it to 5. So I think what I'm going to do, in order to charge my soul up a bit more and also to sort of fix my hand a little bit, I'm going to block with these 2 cards here.
Whoa, V for the Vanguard is a block.
V of the Vanguard is defending, and because once you've used your chess piece, V of the Vanguard does become a lot harder to utilize when you're working with limited numbers of cards. I'm also going to then use Helm of Halo's Grace ability to charge a card into my soul. Because it's a yellow card, I get to draw a card. And then now that is going to pump drill shot up because of the aim counter giving it piercing, but it's still only going to take it to 5, and I am blocking 5.
Alright, move to reactions.
Okay.
I'm going to activate my new... What? Legs equipment. Which says, attack reaction. Destroy this. Target arrow with an aim counter gets go again.
The synergy.
The
cut 5
combo.
Okay, so that's got go again.
Yes, it does.
Well, what happens now?
Do you have any defense reactions?
I do not have any defense reactions. As I said, I am defending a
Are you sure you don't want to?
A fine amount.
Are you sure you don't want a defense reaction?
No, I'll be fine, thank you.
All right, fair enough. Okay, that is a good block.
Yep.
I'm going to close the chain.
Oh, you're going to close the combat chain. All right.
Do this first, because I need to strip cards.
Okay.
I'm going to read the glide path first.
Taking the safe line.
Yes. Opt, look at the top card. That is very good. That may be good enough. He has 3 cards in hand. That is irrelevant on hit. So, I'm going to pitch to Death Dealer. Load Red in the Ledger.
Ooh.
Powerful arrow. Draw. So now I got to decide, this might actually be better saved. Because this is such a powerful on-hit, this will pull cards already. This is better off saved for next turn when I can dominate. So here is 8 with Red in the Ledger. And Red in the Ledger reads, when this hits a hero, they can't play or activate more than 1 action during their next turn. So I know I'll be relatively safe if this hits. And if he wants to block it, he's going to have to give me 3 cards or 2 cards in equipment.
Well,
that's good enough for me.
This is lethal, so I am pretty sure that I'm just going to defend with 2 cards, take 2 damage, and and that is going to basically mean my turn's very simple. I'm just going to put a card in my arsenal and pass.
Alright. You finished your turn before I could finish mine.
Yeah, well,
Alright. I draw 4.
Boltyn is known for his...
Ooh, okay. We just got to dominate one big arrow. That's all we got to do, and then we win the game. Alright. So here's Lace with inertia. Next arrow +3. Give you inertia on hit.
Okay.
I am going to pitch 2. Death Dealer. Float 1. Load Boltyn Shot.
Oh.
So Death Dealer now draws me a card.
Okay. He's pitched the read the glide path, so perhaps he has another way of manipulating the top card of his deck.
Yes, and you are 100% correct.
Oh.
Here is read
Another
the glide path. So what I'm
What's
looking
on
for,
top?
I am looking for, fishing for a powerful red arrow. So let's have a. No, it's not what I want. It's not what I want. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the bottom.
Okay.
This is getting dangerous. There is a temptation to Azalea blind this card. Because if I can dominate and play this, I will win.
Give in to the dark side.
No, it's too much. I am paper hands
sure?
Azalea. Sometimes you just gotta know when to just take the safe play and not be so
no.
greedy. As unfortunate as it is. I'm simply going to go point the tip.
Oh my god.
Gives this arrow +3 and an aim counter. And I will fire this Boltyn Shot. No dominate, unfortunately, because I am weak-willed.
Okay.
But here is 4, 7, 10, 13.
13.
Reload on hit and inertia. It's not bad. It's just not bad at all.
Alright, okay.
Here is 13.
I think we're going to make the courageous play here, and we're going to defend with 2 cards and a piece of equipment.
Wow.
Take 5.
Wow, alright.
Going to 1.
Going
Just
to
pray
1.
that this on hit does not reload another arrow.
So on hit, firstly, I'll
Yep.
give you
Give me an
inertia, and then Boltyn Shot
Yes.
allows me to reload a card
Yes.
face down into my arsenal.
Yes.
And then I will close the chain,
Yes.
and then I will pass my turn. No, I'm going to fire an arrow. Oh! It's for 4.
No. Okay, so we have to block anyway.
Yes.
So we took all that damage for nothing, and now to add insult to injury, the inertia is going to
Beautiful.
going to ship the arsenal to the bottom.
Beautiful.
It's entirely possible that I could have known that that was an arrow because of the fact that he probably would have just played another pump there, but I think I felt like I had to take the gamble because otherwise we weren't really getting anywhere. And if we had been able to have a turn back there, I think we would have been able to win the game. But that's alright.
It's alright. You know, sometimes you just lose to a superior player.
I mean,
There's nothing wrong with that.
sometimes-
There's really nothing wrong with that. It just happens. Firstly, I'm going to Death Dealer. Load an infecting shot.
Okay.
Draw a card. Ooh, that's not what I want at all. But I have this card. Ravenous Rabble.
Oh no.
When this attacks, reveal the top card of your deck.
Blue.
Red. This
Never-
gets -6, where X is the pitch value of the card revealed this way. And this
Never
is
lucky.
Red. So it's coming in 4. Can you give me 2 cards, sir?
I think the writing is unfortunately on the wall because not only have we got to put 2 cards in front of this Ravenous Rabble here, there is in fact an arrow on top of Uhyoung's deck. And
Yes. That's a great block,
I
bro.
dominate.
So now I'm going to close the chain,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna. I'm gonna do this risky Azalea.
Yep.
What's the
What
card
could
on top?
possibly be on top?
I really hope it's an arrow that I can dominate. It is. I am just the best. So Crow's Nest, I'm going to pay 1. And this card reads that whenever an arrow is put face up into my arsenal from my deck, I can pay 1. And if I do, put an aim counter on it. And this card reads, if it has an aim counter, it gets +1. And then I will simply fire 6.
Oh.
Dominate.
Well,
Unless you got the
I
goods.
tell you what, we were so close because I have a saving grace,
Ooh.
which is going to put it down to 4, but I'm still only blocking 3, which means I take 1.
Perfect.
I die.
Good game, good
Good
sir.
game. Yep, I think that has definitely showcased the power of the Azalea deck.
Yeah.
In the hands of a skilled pilot, of course. It's
Wow.
definitely, I think, one of the harder Armory decks to navigate.
It's a very fun deck to play. A lot of lines and a lot of like managing risk about like when you need to Death Dealer, when you
Yep.
need to spin Azalea, when you need to look at the top card of our deck and manipulate it. Definitely go out, grab one, practice, see the infinite potential of this deck.
Well, the poison arrows were too much in the end, and I did indeed die of the plague.
Would you say you were dominated that game by me?
I don't want to say that. Do I,
see,
have
I
to
see.
say that? I died.
I knew when to hold them.
Yeah.
I knew when to
Yeah,
fold them.
yeah, okay.
And I knew when to fire away.
Right.
And it paid off this game.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed that game and that you will go out and grab an Azalea Armory deck to go and take down to your local armory and get lucky yourself.
Yeah. And all you Ranger players out there, we now have Battle Worn. 2 pieces of Battle Worn. That's insane. So get amongst it.